Once AI stops becoming a novelty, we'll stop being fascinated with it. You're scrolling, you'll see, okay, this is AI content, I'm not really interested by it. Then you'll need human ingenuity and human craft to actually retain the interest of the user.
A lot of young people who are starting agencies are getting a little anxious because there's so much conversation around labor going away. That's the leverage we have.
Specialist will be most desired for, because the generalist role everybody will be able to do. People will be able to write a prompt and get the same answer in different words.
In a world of AI, I believe that human creativity will become a luxury good that will be available only to the privileged. That's how you got to position yourself, that you are a luxury good and your buyer is privileged to be able to afford to work with you.
We have to evolve, but I don't think that anything is in danger.
Hey there, welcome to Marketing Mavericks with Indiefolio. Today we have Suveer and Pratik with us, who are the co-founders of Zoom Media. We talk about their journey of starting Foxy Moron, which actually wrote the digital wave in India, and extract a lot of insights for anybody who's building an agency, young clients, as well as advertisers and marketers. Thanks a lot for your time and welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Thanks for having us here.
First time heard about Foxy Moron when I was in my first year of BMM in HR college. And I remember a lot of my seniors and I think some of my professors also were either working or interning, and there was a lot of chatter. So I pretty kicked that, I'm finally talking to you guys after almost, I think that was a decade ago. So can we go back to, I believe, 2008 when you both got together to start Foxy with a bunch of other folks. So would love to hear the story from your end. Any of you could go and tell us, how did you end up meeting and how did you end up starting?
It was the summer of 2008 and we were both just completing the second year of college. I was in BMS in HR, of course. And Pratik was also BMS at Sydenham. And, we had to do internships at the end of every year. And I guess we weren't getting much from our previous internships. And we were just faffing around one day at home and, decided that we want to kind of put our eggs in, a different basket this summer. And Pratik had some opportunities freelance. I had some opportunities freelance. Obviously, it was a summer. We want to do some time pass, travel a bit, holiday a bit, etc. And, we decided to, get together. Back in the day, there was no, we used to use dial-up internet, right? So it used to take forever to kind of download songs and movies and music to kind of keep yourself occupied during the weekend. So this meetup to exchange content was a very regular affair in our lives back in the day. And it was a summer. We decided, we didn't want to do these internships. We had these freelance projects going on. One person said, hey, can you help me with this? One person said, hey, can you help me with this? I come from a family of lawyers, like how you said you come from a family of doctors. I come from a family of lawyers. So I said, great. If we're going to work together, then we must register a partnership agreement. And I think on the 22nd or 23rd of March, Pratik came up with the name Foxy Moron, which kind of made it slightly real. And then on the 10th of May that year, 2008, we ended up registering a partnership firm. This was just supposed to be a fun summer activity that we just spent the summer with each other, hanging out and doing interesting things and hopefully making some money. But from becoming the kids who were looking for internships, we ended up becoming the kids who ended up giving out internships, because all our college friends also heard that we're doing this and they said, oh, can we come and work with you guys? Obviously, we had no money to pay them. So eventually at the end of the summer, we paid them with thumb drives with all the content that we had downloaded that summer. So all the piracy songs and music that we had downloaded, we just gave them that on a pen drive and paid them off.
But pen drives are a little expensive back in the day. Huh? It's a lot cheaper now.
We finished those projects that we were working on, which was a combination of everything, like outdoor, print, video, merchandising, events, everything, in August. And, we had three options. We could go back to college, we could continue doing what we were doing, or we could do both. So we obviously picked option number 3 and we continued doing what we were doing. And then eventually we graduated in 2009. Obviously didn't go through the placement committee and the placement route, because we were already 1 year into this and it was working well and we were having fun, most importantly. So we said, let's continue doing it. And we continued doing it, and 17 years later, we're still here and we're still doing it and and still, gracing the halls of HR college once in a while to go and share a story with the kids there.
I want to ask the both of you about starting a service company, right? When I started Indiefolio, I was probably in my 12th grade. Even there was a lot of talk about product-led growth, product-first companies in India are needed. And a lot of my friends also, and a lot of my alumni, a lot of folks kind of went and tried to build that. Um, Many of them today are very successful because of the service component of their offering as well today, right? Today, right, if you go to college kids, some people do want to start agencies, but a lot don't. What's the case for starting an agency? If anybody wants to kind of take it up, that if I'm young, I want to do something of my own, what's the case that maybe you should try an agency?
It's a hard business, right? Like a services business is actually a very hard business at scale. A services business is a practice when it's not at scale, right? But a services business is a very strong component of what is built into our ecosystems as Indians in general over the last 20, 30 years. The good part about advertising, marketing, however you want to bucket it, is that there is absolutely no barrier to entry, right? But what we've seen in the last 17 years, I mean, when we started out, there were three agencies who called themselves digital. I think they started calling themselves digital also in 2010 only. I don't even think we were calling ourselves a digital agency when we started out. And I remember once randomly there was some website which used to list digital agencies, and I had seen a number which was like some 500, 560 or something of that sort, right? Then there are conversations where there were 1,500 agencies, right? And I'm not even talking about the people who've now become fractional CMOs and consultants and all of these cool new words, which again I categorize as practices and not really a services business. And there is enough and more opportunity in advertising and marketing for the next generation to always come in, because they understand and live the relevance that we are marketing to, right? So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 year old is now an audience, is a buying audience for lots of brands. They work, behave, talk, communicate in very, very different ways. So will there be a need for the younger generation to continuously keep coming in the business? Yes. And therefore, will the requirement for advertising and services business, advertising and marketing businesses always exist? Yes, it will. But what we've also noticed is that while those number of agencies have gone down to 1,600, those agencies at scale have continued to remain in low two-digit numbers. Right? And I say low two-digit numbers because it's a very difficult business to continuously have to scale. Right? It's not a business that you can put into autopilot. It's not a business that does not face its fair share of people moving in and people moving out. Right? It's it's almost like brands today are also on these dating sites swiping left and right, and they don't seem to have the same sense of like commitment. So
Right.
It's a difficult business, but does the business have space? Yes, the business has space. And I don't think that any sort of a service business will not have space as long as you're able to provide a great service at scale. So yeah, the low barrier to entry is what scares people, right? And the amount of time that they need to spend to sharpen their skills scares people. A lot of advertising and marketing today is asking business questions. Earlier, they were asking advertising and marketing questions.
Right.
That scares people. But is there space? Yes, there's a lot of space.
I give you my 3 cents on it. Services specifically to agencies versus product. One is in a services business, like an agency business, you're going to be working with a lot more people than a product business. It's completely people centric. Obviously, your team is a key stakeholder there, but every client, every consumer that's buying from you is also a human being, right? Buying from you means buying from your clients is also a human being. So it's completely people centric. You have to love people. You have to understand people in and out, right? To a certain extent, I hate to bucket it, but you got to be slightly extroverted because we're constantly selling every single day, right? So you got to be slightly extroverted, enjoy spending time with people, understanding consumer psychology, understanding buyer mentality, understanding people. So number one is working with people. Number two is diversity. When you work in the product industry, if I work in, say, payments, for example, right? I know everything about payments. I become a subject matter expert. I go deep. It's a regulated industry. I know all the regulations, all the tech, all the API, the full stack, blah, blah, blah. But today, yesterday, for example, we worked on one financial services brand, we worked on one Alcobev brand, we worked on one nutraceuticals brand, we worked on one fashion brand, and we worked on one FMCG brand, all in one day. So in one day, I've got 5 different exposures, and I've learned so much more about 5 different, diverse industries, and therefore it's enriched me as a human being, so much more. And I feel like that's a very, very big change as to why people work in services. When I say services, I mean even consulting, for example, even law firms, even CA firms, for example,
Yeah.
right? And then the third difference, I think, is, and because I gave you consulting, law firms, and CA firms as an example, the third difference is people work in advertising because it's a chilled out lifestyle, right? A lot of people work here because they like to express themselves. We've got a nice lifestyle. You actually become friends with your colleagues as well, which I'm not saying you can't do at other places, but this is the default in our lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
This is the default in our work culture, that we are relaxed. We have less rules around disciplinarianism, etc., so on and so forth. And a lot of people actually, who are inherently these people in life, appreciate this lifestyle.
Right.
I think these are the three key differences that I look at.
What's happening right now is a lot of young people who are starting agencies are getting a little anxious because there's so much conversation around labor going away, right? Which is a lot of what agencies as services do. We put labor on top of your problems, essentially. That's the leverage we have. So, I think Mark Zuckerberg said in some conference that they're adding an entire advertising layer on their platforms. Then a lot of people also said that they're insourcing now, right? People are also saying there's going to be a convergence now where you had niche expertise, but now one person with an idea and a brief and some money for those tools can actually prompt everything out, because you can prompt a website, a strategy, a plan, a video, a film, etc. So I think the bigger players and the ones who obviously have a lot of, say with and the relationships with the brands will continue to thrive. Of course, we all know we'll have to embrace AI, etc. But I feel the outsourcing market of creative advertising, etc., could see a lot of drastic changes where the number of players may change, a lot of insourcing may happen, the toolkit changes, etc. So this is very kind of scary, and especially because Indiefolio, we are a network of a lot of young folks, young companies, as well as independent consultants. A lot of them are experts of a craft, right? Then I'll make a really good video with a good angle, make a really good script, etc., or a landing page. But now that all of that is getting prompted, people are like, okay, how do I stay relevant when Gen AI is really taking up a lot of us? So wanted to know,
I don't think so.
What's your thought? Yeah.
I don't think so. Because actually, as we move forward, right, the specialist will be most desired for, because the generalist role everybody will be able to do, right? Like, people will be able to write a prompt and get the same answer in different words, right? Like, I have now started to see assignments that come back to us. And Suveer actually pointed this out to me. There are some common words that GPT uses.
Yes.
That if you're able to read those words, you already know that GPT has written this, right? And we are already seeing the struggle in junior copywriters, in junior art people. And the struggles are two ways. One is that they have not moved onto the AI wave. And the second struggle is the other extreme, that they are only dependent on AI. Right? Which means that if you are having a conversation with them, they're feeding it into AI.
Right.
Now, the problem that I'm seeing is that now the basic standard, if it was 20, the basic standard has now moved to 40. Right? So I am now expecting 40 to be my baseline. But when you are in the business that we are in, we anyways need to generate a 60 or an 80.
Yeah.
For which now it becomes that much more important for that person to be able to explain his craft. Earlier, the person was able to show his or her craft, right? Like, now, if I have an art, like if I have a art person, the art person must be able to tell you that I want a shot from this angle. I want you to use a Nikon 500D, 16mm lens versus just try and make it like he would say, I need to shoot this. Now the person is going to turn around and say, I need to be able to prompt this.
Yeah.
We had a very interesting brief that came our way from an AI company in the US recently. They are trying to build a specialist AI tool for people who are doing graphic design. All right, because now everybody's going to go over there. You know what the brief was? I'm going to give you briefs. Can you create non-AI generated graphic versions of it? Because what we are feeding and what somebody else is feeding is the same. So actually we have no differentiation. So very quickly we've reached that place of saturation or maturity of what this can do for everybody. Now I have the same access and you have the same access. But now I have to differentiate it, which means that what was my 100 previously will now have to become 120. And who are the best people to be able to do it? People who are specialists.
Yeah.
So the job of the generalist is actually a lot more in danger than the job of a specialist. The specialist will become a lot more desirable because a specialist will be able to differentiate this for you. Everything else will look, sound, and hear and seem the same. So I'm not concerned. We have to evolve, but I don't think that anything is in danger. Like 10 years from today, we won't have this conversation. Today, we are having this conversation, right? And I believe at least Suveer and I had this conversation with our parents saying, listen, the computer is coming, like software is coming, Excel is there. Why are you not using Excel? Why are you still using that Bhai Khata or whatever you were to call it, right? And then people moved on. Today, we are in that generation, we're sitting somewhere in the middle where that younger generation is saying, why are you not using AI? We say, we'll figure it out. We didn't say ki iski zarurat nahi hai, but we'll figure it out. And then the bar will increase.
In a world of AI, I believe that human creativity will become a luxury good that will be available only to the privileged, right? So that's how you got to position yourself, that you are a luxury good and your buyer is privileged to be able to afford to work with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think agree to the both of you. But Pratik, just want to kind of follow up on one trend which may come, and I want to know what you both think about it, right? Which is there's a certain deliverable timeline and a price point to, let's say, a video right now. It includes production, it includes a lot of time. You can't iterate on it quickly because if you shoot once, reshoots are hard, etc. All that is going to change, I believe, where there will be the premium luxury film you'd make maybe twice a year. But because there is AI now, you can make 50 films now, probably. And they will do it, right? I think people don't want to save money, they want to do more because the any which are sitting on that and they have to push their numbers. So, how do you approach that, right? Today,
same way, Earlier, people did one flyer and they put it out to everybody. They did one outdoor and they adapted it to hundreds. Then social media came. Then it was static.
Right.
Then it became motion graphics or dynamic. And now it's become video. It's the same thing, right? Because now I had access to Photoshop. I didn't have to sit behind somebody who was, going to sketch it and then screen print it.
Right.
Then from the screen printing, I went to Suveer, what was that software that always tells you that why don't you use it? Which is
Corel
that
Draw. Corel Draw.
Corel Draw, correct? Right. Then people move to Corel Draw, right? And then Corel Draw say you move to Adobe. Now you're turning around and saying that the same revolution is happening for video. Yeah. Right now, video is your new constant, right? Your video now has become the same. Like for instance, we've started to do video retainers for clients.
Right.
We turn around and say, don't think of video as only that high expense shoot. Technically speaking, for the last 5 or 7 years, this has already been disrupted. Yeah. What is the difference between a DVC and a TVC? Except for you write D in the first word and you write T in the second word. Correct. You're shooting on the same cameras. Your production is the same. The only thing is that the talent is taking different money. Ye TV pe jayega, okay, I'm going to charge you more money. Ye digital pe jayega, I'm going to charge you less money. That's also stopped. Right? So that rationalization has happened. If you were to tell me which is a big scale TV advertising brand today, minus Dream 11 in the last 1 or 2 years, I've actually not seen anybody go crazy on production budgets to be able to tell a story. Like what Suveer was talking about back in 2008 and 2007 and 2006, we used to share videos that Nike had made with, those, Joga Bonito ads and be like, oh shit, 2 minute storytelling in the airport kicking a football. Where do you see it? Even in the like 2000 World Cup or the 99 World Cup, you had the Indian cricket team in South Africa, like big star cast and, like big production budgets. Where do you see it? So that change has already happened, right? And today video is the new normal. So that's the evolution that we're sitting on. And that's fine. That's if we don't adapt to it, then we will be laggards.
AI is also new, right? Everyone's also fascinated that look at what AI can do. It's so quick, it's so cheap, it's so blah, 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 blah. The minute you see 1,000 videos that AI has been created, you'll be like, okay, great, I understand AI can do everything under the sun. This is not exciting, right? So what Pratik was talking about earlier about the 100 becoming 120 or the 40 becoming 60, right? That is human craft, right? That human craft in terms of the creativity still needs to come from the human being, right? Yeah. So once AI stops becoming a novelty, we'll stop being fascinated with it. then what it'll boil down to is, people use this term called thumb stopping content. You're scrolling, you see, okay, this is AI content, I'm not really interested by it. Then you'll need human ingenuity and human craft to actually, retain the interest of the user. And this novelty will wear off beyond a point, right? Technology will improve, it'll homogenize, it'll commoditize. The novelty is going to wear off in a few years anyway.
Correct. Got it. Super. I want to now just jump into, I think, knowing a little bit more about the entire umbrella structure you have, right? Where, I think it's evolved into Zoom Media, which now has a lot of service companies under them. How are you associated with them? Are these your subsidiaries, or are these agencies you acquired, acqui-hired, invested in? What is the model like?
Suveer, this is your introduction.
So we formed Zoom Media in 2020. We're completing 5 years this June, actually, of having set up Zoom Media. And how Zoom Media was born actually was, until 2016-17, we had only one agency called Foxy Moron, which of course was a full-service generalist digital marketing services agency across content, media, data, and tech. And very accidentally in 2016, we ended up spinning off a creative technology company called Phosphine, and then later in 17 and 19 respectively, we spun off our production into the Rabbit Hole, which is our content studio, and our influencer management into Poland, which is our influencer management company. Why this happened was for a couple of reasons. This happened, one is because we were L'Oreal's agency on record from 2009 to 2021, I think, and we managed, I think, every single brand across every single digital service that they had at some point of time over that period of 11, 12 years. And not very often, every single year, we would get conflicted from participating in a variety of different pitches because of non-compete.
Right.
And we were like, how are the big guys doing it, right? You handle two competing brands inside the same agency. And then we realized that they're not handling it inside the same agency. There are Chinese walls in between two agencies, and they built two different agency brands. So that was, moment of realization, aha, one. And moment of realization, aha 2 came from us because also, we had stopped taking white labeled work from other agencies in the year 2010, where we said we're not going to take any work from other agencies. We're just going to do work on our own. And obviously from 2010 to 2015, the larger agencies didn't have too much market share with digital anyway. They kind of picked up pace slightly later when they realized that digital is real and it's not just a passing fad and stuff like that. And then very often they realized that they had the ability to win clients, but not necessarily execute. And they would not outsource any work to Foxy Moron because Foxy Moron was actually a competitor, right? Would beat them in most pitches. But if we had parallel agency brands that was not Foxy Moron, they didn't believe those were competing, and they could easily outsource the subject matter first work to those agencies. So we spun off Phosphine in 16, the Rabbit Hole in 17, Poland in 19. And obviously, we realized that, so these are all homegrown agencies, right? We built dedicated teams for them, dedicated leadership, dedicated P&Ls. They had hybrid clients, both coming from Foxy Moron as well as, direct clients of their own. Even their teams had very, linear growth paths to becoming subject matter experts inside that domain versus getting lost inside a larger agency, generalist agency mix as well. And because these were homegrown, they were very time-consuming engagements for us to figure out how to break away, spin off a small, agency inside of an agency, etc. At some point in time, we realized also, okay, we've got some cash lying around. Maybe we should start playing with that cash, and we're realizing how to kind of spin off agency brands. Maybe we should invest in some agency brands as well. So in, our first investment was a marketing technology company called Noesis Technologies. And through this cluster, it kind of became prudent to us that we should now have a holding company, So we set up Zoom Media in 2020 as a holding company whose job effectively was just to hold the operating agencies that sit inside of it. So on date today, we have 7 agencies that operate inside the holding company structure, of which a few are homegrown, that are wholly owned subsidiaries of Zoom Media Private Limited. Some of them are investments, majority investments. Some of them are joint ventures in which we have minority. Some are partnerships. So we work across all 3 or 4 constructs today, where Pratik and I are partners inside of Zoom Media Private Limited as the holding company, and then 7 agencies that service content, media, data, tech, influencers, production, event management, sports marketing across the board through our agency brands.
Incredible. I think it's very exciting to see, you attempting to make your own group, right? So I think best of luck for that. I think it's definitely very much needed for the ecosystem. If I'm a agency owner, how could I maybe get your attention to maybe get an investment or a partnership?
So we're on the lookout, right? We feel that exits, because now we're talking in this whole entrepreneurial investment kind of a world, will be very different in advertising agencies and networks as we move forward. Right? We're often dependent on the entrepreneur on the other side, and we've seen any investment made where the entrepreneur goes away, there is there is no credible second line that can continue what has been built, which means that we need to almost become a collection of these entrepreneurs in the advertising and marketing space, right? And therefore these exits, whether it's a roll up structure of multiple agencies coming together, and then we have a large client pool with, like, then the top of the funnel becomes something that that we actively go out there and seek, and then we're able to to answer those questions with multiple specialist agencies, um, or then the consulting companies of the future, like all of these become potential exits for us as a large group. And for that we need multiple other agencies, agency owners, specialists to come in, become a part of this network, right? One is that we're actively looking at great work that's happening out there, right? Like, so a lot of the people that you were saying will also be on Indie Folio, right? What we have been able to do is, like, with one of the investments that we've made in a company called the Starter Labs, right? We've grown them about, I would like to say, 4 to 5 times in about 2.5 years, right? What have we done differently? The entrepreneurs are still running the business, right? But we've just almost hard stopped them from making some of the mistakes that we've made, right? We've in some of the cases, excuse my French, just given them the balls to say ki I will now charge a 4 lakh rupee retailer, like, even if that means that you drop 3 clients on the way, which you would otherwise not do, right? We've given them access to some of the best marketing minds inside of this ecosystem, and therefore go down that route of specialization and work with entrepreneurs to be able to scale those agencies, right? Because even for us at Foxy, the first question that got us to think in this direction is how big is too big before you kill the product that you're actually creating, right? Which means that if I have to build a 200, 300, 500 crore revenue business, then I need multiple pods of these businesses to be moving in that direction, right? We're consistently looking for people who can do things differently or can do different things, right? And we're happy to like to work with them, push them up. There are a few that we're already going to announce in the next maybe 2 quarters that are already in the works, and happy to look at any people, agencies of any kind of size and shape, and yeah, if it works out, then we'll be happy to look at it from a zoo lens.
Awesome. Suveer, if you could maybe to kind of top what Pratik said, add in maybe some more focus areas you're excited about, the ideal team size, anything which maybe makes me feel I'm relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. So, inside of digital, we're pretty full service. We got a reasonably strong digital marketing services offering with a few hundred people across 4 cities in India, across content, media, data, tech. What we're looking to boost up our capabilities inside of digital currently are on the marketing technology services side. That's one. On the just slightly more traditional PR, slightly more traditional branding side. So these are three immediate focus areas for us that we're in market for at the moment. Typically, we look at EBITDA positive companies who are upwards of $1 million in revenue, with promoters who are young, dynamic, and want to run this race with us. Typically not with promoters who are looking for cash exits, who want to exit their business and sell it off to someone and bounce. We're not so hung up about team size, more so about revenue size, because revenue size represents good clients, and clients will represent good teams behind them as well. But typically, we look for young, dynamic founders, a good portfolio of clients, a good team. If your brand name is visible in the market, that always helps. With marketing tech companies, if you have some proprietary IP that you're working on, that always helps. So these kind of become the 5 caveats that we look for in upcoming agencies.
Super, very exciting. I think would love to.
Sorry, I'm gonna add 2 more to this list, because we've been chatting about this. I want to look at a AI focused marketing tech sort of a company in more specific, right? And want to look at a video AI specific marketing tech company in a lot more focus, right? So these are the 2 places that we're actively having a few conversations with, because one of the areas for us that we're going after is the whole family-owned businesses and the startup ecosystem, which will require this a lot more at scale. So yeah, those are the additional two that if there are
Fantastic.
people, please reach out.
Yeah, I think we'd love to kind of, maybe clip these out and distribute it to our large network, and hopefully something works out for everybody. So just moving on, I think, to the last question, right? So as a parting thought, if I am an agency owner doing a 0 to 1, if you both could share maybe your top focus areas, I should double down on in my first year, I'd love to hear from the both of you.
A marketable team is what I think that becomes the first thing that you would put, who is able to communicate the outcome for the business that is speaking to them. I think that marketable team becomes an important one, and a marketable team doesn't necessarily need to have 10 or 15 years of experience behind them. A marketable team can also be a team which understands newer trends, but then you go to very different kinds of brands and speak to them. So I think that's the most important thing that people need to do.
Fantastic. Suveer?
Yeah, I think the most common advice that I give to entrepreneurs who are doing the 0 to 1 is, the most common question that I get is, when is the right time for us to pitch to a client? When is the right time for me to hire a creative director? When is the right time? So my answer to all of these questions is, the same. The time is now. If you're in your 0 to 1 phase, don't wait for anything. Just dive right in, pitch to your client. The first 10 pitches, you're going to get slapped silly on your face. You're going to come home with black and blue, scars on your cheeks. But it's okay. Like, you live and learn, right? The 0 to 1 phase is about learning. And the second piece of advice I give to entrepreneurs in their 0 to 1 is that your 0 to 1 phase actually lasts 1,000 days. Don't be foolish and believe that it lasts anything shorter than that. For a business to survive, it takes 3 years for you to go through one entire business cycle and come out on the other side of it, having learned the mistakes, having learned the wins, the losses, the backstabs, the employees leaving you, the clients leaving you, someone poaching an employee, someone poaching a client. All of that will take 3 years to happen. You need to survive that. And you need to be in love with it at the end of 1,000 days for you to continue. You can say, I had the worst 3 years of my life. I'd never want to do this ever again. Entrepreneurship is not for you. But the 0 to 1 phase in any business lasts for 1,000 days. If it does not survive 1,000 days, you're not, either the business is not right for you, or the timing is not right for you, or you are not right for the business. It's one of the three, right? But 1,000 days is what it takes.
Some golden advice, folks. Thank you so much for that. It was a pleasure hosting all of you. I hope you guys had fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Good time, Kamal. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Superb. Thank you so much. And for everybody who stuck along, thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to hear another set of amazing founders, please like, share, and subscribe.